Tens of millions of Americans get their political marching orders on the radio. Jim Axelrod has been listening in.
Trump won, okay, and Biden's illegitimate, and you're just going to have to live with it, okay?
Across America, the message is loud and clear.
Teachers in Florida are facing the religious tyranny of Ron DeSantis, this Christian terrorist.
35 years after the talk radio revolution, on the air is still often an exercise in off the rails.
And you know that guy had like that super white hair, he looked like a character in Ozark.
The guy's turning into a dictator right in front of your eyes.
Brian Rosenwald is an industry expert.
What's the nature of talk radio? Is it any different than it's been the last 2 or 3 decades?
If anything, Jim, I think it's more extreme.
Following the repeal of the Fairness Doctrine in 1987, broadcasters were no longer required to present both sides of controversial political issues.
There's simply no way Joe Biden was legitimately elected president.
Which ushered in Rush Limbaugh's polarizing and immensely popular style that attracted 15 million listeners a week who felt dominant media outlets had a liberal bias.
And I think over that long span, it has unquestionably divided Americans. It has unquestionably hardened our politics.
If Democrats can't rob you, the next best thing is to convince you that you are being robbed.
And how is that good for America?
It's not. It's bad for America.
We're facing a cultural crisis in this country.
Michael Harrison is the publisher of Talkers Magazine, the industry Bible.
If we could have on the liberal side what we have on the conservative side, the talk radio industry would be better, free speech would be better served, and the nation would be better served.
It's not that liberals haven't mounted a counterattack. They just chose another battlefield.
So why is there never a liberal Rush Limbaugh?
Well, I think they've gone into other areas. I think Jon Stewart has been every bit of a trailblazer as Rush Limbaugh was. And he happened to colonize late-night comedy. You know, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, most of the late-night comics lean left at this point.
Which is why more than 3 decades after Limbaugh weaponized talk radio for the right, liberals remained outmanned and outgunned. On the list of Talkers Magazine top 10 most popular talk radio hosts, all 10 are conservative. While the vitriol flows in both directions these days on commercial radio, the one part of the dial that is liberal turf,
this is All Things Considered from
public radio, attracts big numbers, though it's relatively restrained compared to the intense competition for listeners on commercial radio that's creating ever more extreme approaches to attracting listeners.
CRT, bathrooms that anybody can use.
If you're hoping for any change in this dynamic, don't. Talk radio is now a mature business, with those running it less willing to gamble on something like nuance.
I think right now it's have a take and don't suck.
Because the only color that seems to matter more than red and blue in our divided America is green.
What is the mission of talk radio? Is it to generate light or heat?
The mission of talk radio is to generate ratings and revenue.